Caring Review print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QandReview. That is @ CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QandReview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
The Glasgow Times on Thursday the 16th of January 2025. From the news section. Refurbishment of Mulgai Primary School set to begin this summer. This article has been written by Nicole Mitchell and it's being read by me, Corey. The refurbishment of Mulgai Primary School is set to begin this summer, as a budget of £8 million was proposed for the project. Following a decision by East Bartonshire Council on Thursday, December 19th, officers will now work on finalising the costs, programme and logistics. It comes after we previously reported in August last year the refurbishment had been postponed indefinitely, due to a lack of funds, with the council writing to the Scottish Government seeking additional funds for plans to refurbish Mulgai and Bearsden Primary Schools and rebuild Bimaldi Primary School in Bishop Briggs. In 2021, the council had agreed Mulgai Primary School, which first opened in 1875, would undergo a full refurbishment due to the state of the building. The works for both the upper and lower buildings will see full roof replacement, including valleys, gutters and all skylights. There will also be full window replacement and the repair of stonework where poor condition is a contributing factor to water ingress in the building. They will be delivered through the Scape Scotland framework and via main contractor McLaughlin and Harvey Limited. Officers proposed a budget of £8 million to be allocated to the programme for all remaining design development, professional fees and construction costs. During the refurbishment, pupils from the senior school will decant to Torrance Primary School, while the infant school will decant to St Nicholas's Primary School. The council says there will be discussions with staff, pupils and parents of all three schools in pre-construction period to discuss logistics. Anne Davey, Chief Executive at East Bartonshire Council, said, "Works are due to begin at Mulgai Primary School this summer after council approval on December 19th of 2024. We will continue to liaise with staff, pupils and parents of Mulgai, Torrance and St Nicholas Primary Schools to discuss the decant logistics." Parents previously said the school is not a safe, healthy learning environment. They said the building has water dripping from the ceilings, mushrooms growing inside the building and black mould growing on the windows. Members of the Mulgai Primary Parent Council also told the Glasgow Times there were ceiling tiles coming down, water dripping into buckets in several classrooms, toilets flooding constantly, with a member of staff even having to stand by the door in case a child slips on the floor, and windows painted shut, meaning there is zero ventilation. That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Nicole Mitchell and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times on Thursday the 16th of January 2025. From the news section. Turnbull High pupils accused of theft from airport duty free. This is an exclusive article written by Amanda Keenan and it's being read by me, Corey. A school trip abroad was plunged into chaos after pupils were caught stealing goods worth hundreds of pounds at duty free and almost causing their flight to be grounded. The Glasgow Times understands that 7 senior pupils who attend Turnbull High School in Bishopbriggs were confronted after being caught on security cameras lifting expensive aftershave from the airport shop. Staff and pupils were returning from a week-long ski trip to the Passo Tonele resort in northern Italy when the theft occurred, causing security offers at Bergamo airport to be called and the flight to be held on the runway. The plane was only allowed to take off after a school staff member forked out €800 to cover the cost of the missing items. One source, whose child was on the trip, told how other pupils were left shaken and distraught as officials threatened to delay the flight. They exclusively told the Glasgow Times, "The kids who were not involved in this, including my child, were really upset on the flight back home. Everyone is shocked at what has gone on. It's not behaviour you expect from pupils attending such a well-regarded school. They really should know better, and it's totally unacceptable." The teachers were obviously shocked too, as they had no idea what had happened until security arrived and told them the items had to be paid for or the flight wasn't getting off the tarmac. The Glasgow Times understands that parents of 7 teens involved are now being asked to reimburse the member of teaching staff. The parent added, "The worst part is that those involved are now back on the football team, and there doesn't appear to be any disciplinary action being taken at all. So how are they supposed to learn a lesson? It just really sends out the wrong message. The pupils involved should face serious repercussions for the upset they cause to others. I've spoken to members of staff and parents who all feel this should have been handled better and those involved suspended." Turnbull High School has been consistently ranked among the best in Scotland, with exam results regularly above the national average. Another source said that senior staff have been left embarrassed by the incident. They added, "This is among the best schools in Scotland, and staff on the trip have been left shocked and totally red-faced by what has gone on. They expect senior pupils to know better, and everyone feels a bit let down by their behaviour. Thankfully, police did not have to get involved as everything was dealt with at the airport, but it really raises questions about any future trips and supervising pupils." A spokesperson for East Bartonshire Council said that a full investigation is underway. Greg Bremer, Chief Education Officer, said, "We are aware of the incident involving pupils at Turnbull High School. The school are taking this seriously and are in contact with pupils to take appropriate action regarding this unacceptable behaviour." That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was an exclusive article written by Amanda Keenan, and it was read by me, Corey.
This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday, 17th January 2025, from the news section. Airdrie appeal helps over 300 families in need, by Amy Miles. A Christmas appeal has supported more than 300 families across Airdrie and nearby villages struggling with financial difficulties. The Airdrie Action Partnership's 2024 appeal received overwhelming backing from the community. The Christmas appeal made a difference to 310 families in total, ensuring 692 children and teenagers received gifts and clothing. Additionally, 139 people were able to enjoy a Christmas meal and 222 gift cards were distributed to those in need. As part of the campaign, 57 referrals were made to the Council's Tackling Poverty team for income maximisation. One grateful parent said, "I want to thank you all so much. I'm overwhelmed with all the gifts and vouchers for my children. They will be totally amazed, just like I am. I can't believe how kind you have been." The minute I'm back on my feet, I will gladly give back. This is outstanding. I'm speechless. Thank you to each and every business and Airdrie partnership for making Christmas great for my children. The success of the Airdrie Action Partnership is due to the combined efforts of local individuals, businesses and other community members. The partnership is supported by various organisations and groups, including the Whin Hall Action Group, Chapel Hall Community Development Group, Airdrie Citizens Advice Bureau, Airdrie Food Bank, Cairnlee Church, NHS Lanarkshire Health Improvement, North Lanarkshire Council and Airdrieonians Football Club. Ian Jameson, chairperson for the partnership, said, "This initiative demonstrates the power of partnership working to address critical issues like poverty. The commitment and generosity of everyone involved have been remarkable, and we look forward to presenting a full report at the next Airdrie Town Board meeting in March." The Airdrie Action Partnership continues to be committed to aiding local families and driving initiatives to combat poverty within the community. Councillor Chris Costello, convener of the Poverty and Wellbeing Committee, said, "The Airdrie Action Partnership has shown the true spirit of community by coming together to support vulnerable families during one of the most challenging times of the year. Their dedication and hard work have made an incredible difference, ensuring that children and families facing hardship could experience the joy of Christmas." That article was by Amy Miles. This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday 17th January 2025, from the News section. More than 200 universal credit applications made from Barlinnie, by Catherine Hunter. More than 200 universal credit applications came from Barlinnie Prison between January and October last year, according to a new report. Figures presented to Glasgow City Council's Operations and Scrutiny Committee reveals that during the 10-month period, a digital support service run by Glasgow Life to help those who lack the skills to apply for and maintain a universal credit claim had a 94% success rate for applications. The team provides one-to-one support, including translation services where appropriate, to help those who need it lodge a successful universal credit claim. Between January and October 2024, a total of 1,880 inquiries were made about universal credit to Glasgow Life's assisted digital support. Of those, 845 inquiries were supported over the telephone, while 1,035 people were supported in person, 221 of which were based in HMP Barlinnie. During the meeting, Councillor Martha Wardrop said, "I am interested in the digital assisted support work. It looks like you have done some work with Barlinnie and working with prisoners. Are you working with criminal justice and community justice colleagues to evaluate that work? Because one of the concerns is around homelessness in the prisoner release programme and people coming out of prison having difficulty accessing housing support." A council officer said, "The Barlinnie work is really interesting as the committee will be aware that unfortunately there are people who find themselves in prison who are unable to apply for universal credit until they are actually released from prison services." This is a project with the Scottish Prison Service to talk about what role Glasgow Life and particularly our libraries and the work that we do to support accessing benefits. That article was by Catherine Hunter. This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday 17th January 2025, from the News section. Warning to firm which put over 200 students at risk, by Drew Sandilands. A severe warning has been issued to a firm which put over 200 college students at risk by running unlicensed flats. Phoenix Century Court Limited was rebuked by Glasgow licensing chiefs over its ownership of 39 properties at St Luke's Place and St Luke's Terrace. The flats, which are leased to the City of Glasgow College, house more than 200 people and costs start from £136 per week. But licences weren't kept up to date after a company restructure. Councillor Alec Wilson, SNP, who chairs the licensing committee, said, "You have in effect left a property unlicensed since 2022, so any students in there you have put at risk." He continued, "Leaving the property unlicensed means if that property had gone on fire, you would have been in a lot of trouble. Once you have no licence, your insurance is invalid, which means if anything goes wrong with that building, it's your fault." A representative for the firm apologised for the error and said standards or safety checks had never been compromised. The committee agreed to grant new licences for a restricted period of 1 year rather than 3. Houses and multiple occupation (HMO) licences are needed by landlords who allow their property to be occupied by 3 or more people who are not related. A report to the committee stated the flats on the south side of the Clyde had been licensed by another company owned by the same persons, and the new licence applications were not submitted timeously following the transfer of the development to the current applicant company. Councillor Wilson said the councillor understood the change of ownership had taken place in April 2022. The flats had been bought in 2017 by Phoenix Talent Holdings and licensed under that name. The representative said the shareholders are the exact same of both entities, so, although it is a change of ownership, the ultimate parent owners are the exact same. Describing the situation as an administrative oversight, he added, "We thought the licences were continuing under the existing Phoenix Talent Holdings." A council official explained that new applications for the grant of a licence had been required. Councillor Wilson said, "It is your job as a licence holder to make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and you haven't done so. It's been explained to you that because of the way you changed the ownership, etc., you should have updated the licensing section with the new details of the change of structure." The representative said the ultimate owners were a Chinese consortium. He said he had already been brought on board to be more hands-on locally. "This will not be happening on my watch," he added. "I'm a bit mortified and I would like to apologise on behalf of the landlord that this administrative error has occurred." The council official confirmed all safety certification for the properties is up to date. That article was by Drew Sandilands.
From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 18th of January 2025. From the lifestyle section, 5 of the most annoying things a neighbour has ever done, by Amelia Kettle. Ever had a moment when a neighbour has done something so annoying you wish you could tell the world? Well, You wouldn't be alone in that feeling, as dozens of people have taken to social media to share their own experience with annoying neighbours. From playing loud music well past bedtime or leaving smoke alarms on for days, users in the Reddit group r/AskReddit had some odd experiences to share. 5 of the most annoying things neighbours have ever done. Leaving a smoke alarm on. One Reddit user revealed they were once forced to listen to constant beeping from a smoke alarm with a low battery. Sharing. Move out and leave the smoke alarm on low battery. I considered smashing the window in one time to change the battery. A good reminder to always check your smoke alarm battery. Karaoke party. Another person shared how a neighbour once had a karaoke party that nearly shattered the windows, writing, "After lockdown, our neighbours at the back had a karaoke party and were screaming Queen songs at an obnoxiously loud level until midnight. It was actually like they were trying to shatter the windows." However, some thought that the karaoke was fair and not something to complain about. Meh, everyone should be able to let loose sometimes, and an occasional party shouldn't be a big deal, especially if it only lasts until midnight. Burning coal. One Reddit user said that the most annoying neighbour that they had to deal with was burning coal that would smell bad. Sharing. Burning coal to heat their house in the middle of the city. It smells like animal s***. Just use gas, please. Bright lights at night. Arguably one of the most annoying things a neighbour can do is leave a light on all night. As one Reddit user explained, "Turned his bright lights on every night, shining in my bedroom, making for a very restless night's sleep." Leaving. Topping the most annoying thing a neighbour can do, one Reddit user said, "Became my friend and left. It wasn't their choice to move though. House got sold." Sharing empathy, another user commented, "Think I definitely remember our best neighbours more than the annoying ones." What's the most annoying thing a neighbour did to you? And that article was written by Amelia Kettle. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 18th of January, from the lifestyle section, Burns Night. I tried haggis from Aldi, Tesco, Asda and more. By Trendy News reporter Andrew Smart. There is perhaps nothing as quintessentially Scottish than enjoying some haggis, neeps and tatties at a traditional Burns supper. Burns Night takes place annually on January 25th and sees ardent fans of the country's national bard come together to commemorate his life and impact on global literature. While many people don't take part in organised gatherings, most will indulge in the national dish to mark the occasion. To find some of the best haggis brands on the market, I decided to visit various supermarkets, including M&S, Aldi, Asda, Tesco and Lidl, and try the offerings. I taste tested haggises for Burns Night. One of them reminded me of dog food. To find the best, I assessed the haggises on their taste, spiciness and texture to give them a rating out of 5. M&S. One of the stronger brands in the list, Marks & Spencer's own brand haggis rises above much of its supermarket competition. One of the things that stood out to me about the brand was its peppery kick, which ensured it had that unique haggis taste we've all come to know and love. It also had a notably meaty taste and texture, relying far less on filler ingredients like oatmeal. Rating 4.5 out of 5. McSween, Sainsbury's, Asda and Waitrose. McSween's haggis is a great pick for those who love an oaty crunch, rather than the totally smooth consistency associated with meatier offerings. Like the Marks & Spencer's haggis, this one also contains a generous serving of black pepper, giving it that sought-after kick. Rating 4 out of 5. Macaulay's, Aldi and Lidl. Macaulay's, a haggis offering which can be found in a number of popular supermarkets, proved a strong contender in the list thanks to its reasonable price of £1.95. While that peppery kick and meatiness were less prevalent here, consisting of an oaty texture and understated taste, it was definitely an enjoyable experience. Rating 3.5 out of 5. Simon Howie, Tesco and more. This upmarket brand is known for producing top quality Scottish foods, and the same can be said for its haggis product. Those looking to make their burn supper extra special should have no problems bearing the extra expense for this. Much like its Marks & Spencer's counterpart, the haggis has a smooth taste, spicy kick and a succulent meaty taste, making it ideal for those looking to introduce a newcomer to the meal. Rating 5 out of 5. McKinley's, Lidl. In terms of overall taste and texture, McKinley's probably isn't at the top of the list, but considering the time it took to cook in the microwave, 3.5 minutes at full power, and the fact that it comes with neeps and tatties, it's a winner in my book. Overall, the meal was satisfactory and something I'd eat any day of the week, never mind Burns night. Rating 3 out of 5. Grant's Tinned Haggis. Asda and more. I have to admit, I had my reservations about trying tinned haggis before grabbing it off the shelf, but I'm certain this feeling was justified. By the time I opened the tin and started painstakingly scooping it into a bowl, the clumpiness and off-putting smell reminded me of dog food. Trying the dish was no better, with its lumpy and moist texture making every agonising chew a chore. Its taste was somewhere between particularly cheap tuna and mince that's gone off, making this a rather unpleasant experience and a real dampener in an otherwise fun review. If you're looking for one of the cheaper options, £1.25 in Asda, and you're not that bothered by the state of the product, this might be the haggis for you. Rating 1 out of 5. Conclusion, the best haggis. Rather unsurprisingly, the slightly dearer options scored higher for me, with the offerings over at Marks & Spencer's and Simon Howie proving both delicious and filling. If I had to choose between them, I would pick the Simon Howie product, which only slightly edges in front of its supermarket counterpart. The rest of the products, with the exception of one, all hold their own as viable haggis meals for those looking to celebrate Burns Night. And the article was written by Andrew Smart. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 18th of January 2025, from the news section, exclusive, inside the Canadian Paisley shop, keeping memories alive. Exclusive by Aidan MacDonald. A woman who moved to Canada from Paisley almost 50 years ago has explained how running a shop named after the town has helped her stay connected to her home. Tracy Pettigrew, 55, relocated to North America in 1976 with her family due to her dad's job. In a bid to keep in touch with her homeland, she opened Paisley's, the wee British shop, 15 years ago. It sells everything from Scotch pies to Bakewell tarts, and Tracy insists the business is popular with both tourists and locals. She said, "The reason I have my shop is that I love my Scottish background. I live in a town called Bowmanville, Ontario, with lots of Brits from back home. I already had a gift shop in town, and I was looking for another adventure, so I thought how great it would be to have a British shop that sold all our favourite treats from back home that we all love. I had the market for it, and it has been great, and have a lovely customer base, many that are also from different regions of Scotland, Ireland and England. The shop certainly keeps my memories of Paisley and my Scottish heritage alive, not only for myself, but for my customers." Tracy has fond memories of spending time with her grandparents at their home in Gallowhill when she was younger. She admits that a lot of the products in the shop were favourites of theirs. Tracy continued, "There is nothing better than someone walking into my shop and you can see the excitement of grabbing a walnut whip and saying, 'My God, it's years since I found one of those,' or 'That candy reminds me of my mum or my gran.' I have some customers that end up in tears as the shop just brings them back in time. You cannot buy that sort of response. I also have pictures of Paisley all through the shop, and I've even had customers look at the pictures and recognise someone in one of my pictures. It really is a wonderful experience." Tracy has not been back home in over 5 years since her gran passed away. However, she still feels a close connection to Renfrewshire. She runs the shop along with fellow Scot Elaine Hamill, and is also helped by her husband and mum. Tracy insists she is always delighted when asked to explain the name of her business. She added, "I do have Canadian customers that have actually come to love our shop, and they're coming to understand that Cadbury chocolate made in the UK tastes very different than Cadbury made in Canada, and they'll love it, along with our sausage rolls, Scotch pies and Scotch eggs, which in Canada have become a real delight. Customers will also ask why the store is named Paisley, and I happily explained to them that this is the town I was born in, and it seemed the best to keep my memory of the place alive. And that report was an exclusive by Aidan MacDonald, read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 18th of January, from the news section, exclusive. Palestinian artists refused visas for Glasgow Celtic Connection show. Exclusive by Paul English. A production of a new show featuring performers from Palestine, due to take place at this year's Celtic Connections Festival, has been dealt a major blow after the Home Office refused to grant visas to performers, reports her sister title The Herald. Bethlehem Calling, which is based in the diary of Palestinian schoolgirls, is due to be staged at the city's tramway on Saturday, January 25th, as part of the Winter Arts Jamboree. Organisers have condemned the decision as frustratingly harsh in the week where major steps were taken to resolve the conflict in the Middle East with a ceasefire agreement. The multidisciplinary production, a music, theatre and film collaboration between artists from Scotland, Ireland and Palestine, features music composed by former Franz Ferdinand drummer Paul Thompson and a performance from the Palestinian Arab Orthodox Scouts Pipers of Belt Jalah. Scots musician Lewis Cook, from the band of Free Love, Chizu Anucha and Fides Kanasa are also due to appear at the event, scheduled to be directed by Palestinian director Raida Ghazali. The 40-strong performance is based on stories from diaries written by teenage girls attending the Terra Santa School for Girls in the West Bank during the Second Intifada, the Palestinian uprising of 2000 to 2005, as well as those at the school during the current conflict. The diaries reflect the harsh realities of life as a teenager in a war zone, talking about everyday subjects such as favourite pop bands, alongside accounts of homes being bombed and family members being killed. Now, key members of the show's entourage will be missing from the show, scheduled for January 25th, although producers are insisting the performance will still go ahead despite the decision to block entry to some of the Palestinian collaborators, reports her sister title The Herald. A joint statement issued by the company's creative team said, "We learned this week that 2 Palestinian performers who were to take back in Bethlehem Calling at Tramway on the 25th of January have had their UK visa applications rejected. While the show will very much go on as planned, our view is that these visa decisions are frustratingly harsh, given that this is an important and timely cultural exchange supported by both our national arts funding body, Creative Scotland, and one of Scotland's most prestigious and high-profile arts festivals, Celtic Connections. Bethlehem Calling is bringing together a diverse and talented group of theatre makers and musicians from Palestine to Scotland at a time when it feels more important than ever to support Palestinian artists and amplify their voices and stories. We will be thinking of those who can't be with us as we stage a show that describes the extraordinary resilience and creativity of young people growing up in a war zone." Theatre maker Zoe Hunter, whose connection to the Palestinian Schoolgirls Diary project spans 20 years, said, "These diaries are a witness testimony. Soldiers were coming in and taking over these girls' homes. Families were being forced upstairs into one part of the house. Some write about family members being killed, a 12-year-old girl being shot in the head 5 times in a car because soldiers claimed they thought she was a militant. In the middle of all this horror, these teenage girls are talking about what boy bands they like, who they fancy, and all the things teenage girls talk about. That teenage vitality is there, but there's this resilience too. They just want a normal life, they just want peace. That was their story 20 years ago, and 20 years on, it's still their story. But the hope and resilience have been chipped away at. The diaries they go from the school in November made me realise these children can no longer see their future. They still had a sense in the past that there might be another way, but now they can't see their own future. All that needs to be understood here and all across the world, by ignoring their existence, we're taking that future from them." She added, "A lot of arts organisations, particularly theatres, have been afraid to do anything about Palestine for the fear of being accused of being too overtly political. That saddens me deeply, but the music industry was doing fundraisers and concerts and being supportive, telling the Palestinian people, "We are here for you." And that was the beginning of the idea of talking about what we did in 2005, which had a big impact, and bringing it together with musicians. It's a big gig, mashed up with a theatre piece. Ben Harrison of Gridiron Theatre added, "Someone from Palestine once said to me, 'Your lack of democracy is our biggest problem.' I've been mind-boggled at the lack of courage on behalf of many arts organisations, particularly the theatre across the UK. The Palestinian men in the pipe band are 7 young men playing bagpipes and playing their courage and defiance through that. Not throwing stones or any other clichés about Palestinian men. There are points in the production which could be titled Hope, Despair and Defiance. That's what it's about." The Home Office did not respond to a request for comment, and that article was an exclusive written by Paul English. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 18th of January. From the news section, exclusive. Strictly star on why she was furious about being in Glasgow. This article is an exclusive by Anne Fotheringham. Sarah Hadland admits she was furious the first time she visited Glasgow. "I have felt a couple of things in the city, and the first time I came I was furious because I couldn't understand why I hadn't been before," she says, laughing. "It's such a beautiful city. The architecture, the people. I love it." The Strictly starring actor known for roles in Miranda, Waterloo Road, Horrible Histories and Daddy Issues is on her way back to Glasgow with the live version of the hit BBC dance show. With professional partner Vito Coppola, she's excited about being part of the tour and about catching up with one of the other 2024 series contestants. East End GP and TV medic Dr. Poonam Krishan is not taking part in Strictly Live, which is at the Hydro from January the 24th to 26th. This year's lineup does include Sarah's fellow finalist Tasha Guri and GB Gill, but not series winner Chris McCausland, the show's first blind contestant, because it clashes with the dates of his own stand-up tour. "We're running around everywhere and we are just so excited. Well, Vito and I are always so excited, but we're all even more excited about the tour," says Sarah breathlessly on the phone during a break in rehearsals. "I can't wait to see Dr. P, that'll be fun." Vito is equally delighted about returning to Glasgow. "I love Glasgow," he says, adding with a frown, "but I go around Glasgow in my jacket, my scarf, my hat, and I'm amazed to see people half naked in the winter and the rain. It is so cold, and yet they don't feel it." He brightens, "But we will see Poonam, which we are looking forward to. We will take a walk around, stop for something to eat. I want to catch up with Hamza, Yassin, Strictly's 2022 winner, who now lives in Scotland. I miss that man so much." Sarah and Vito like a blether, and the chat fits between Sarah's live tour nerves. It's different from the telly nerves, it's more excited nerves, but I think you have to be a little bit nervous to do something properly, she says. To her joy, being part of the 20th anniversary series of Strictly Come Dancing. "People have come to me and said it was the best Sunday final ever, that they didn't really care who won, it was just a feel-good final, and that is a lovely thing," she says. "I was proud to be part of a year where people give each other such support. We cheered for each other, we supported each other, and I hope the public got that. It was about the dancing and the joy it brings." Born in St Albans in 1971, Sarah says she knew from around the age of 11 that acting was what she wanted to do. "I was a performer," she says. "I was lucky to be part of a generation when subsidies in theatre existed. I went to Cheshire Youth Theatre, Manchester Youth Theatre. I didn't know it back then, but I'm so grateful for those little local groups. I didn't do drama or dance at school, so if it hadn't been for these groups I would have not had those opportunities." Being flung about the Strictly stage, fumbling and twisting in satin and sparkles, while championing female friendship and working mothers, Sarah unwittingly became a role model for women of a certain age. That took her a little by surprise, she admits. "I didn't set out to be that person," she says slowly, "because, I don't feel sorry for myself. But so many people came up to me and said, 'Wow, we didn't realise you were older, it's fantastic.' And Vito never said, 'Oh, you're 53, so we won't do this. It was the exact opposite. It was, we're doing this and you can do it and you will. Rita chips in cheerfully. And you did. Sarah laughs. Yes, I did, and I think it's a reminder of how important it is to have people like Vito in your life who encourage you, who believe in you, and who make you believe in yourself, she says. And if I've encouraged anyone out there to do anything, then I'm absolutely over the moon about that. Strictly Come Dancing Live is at the OVO Hydro from January the 24th to 26th. And the article was an exclusive by Anne Fotheringham.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 20th of January. Caldwell family to meet with First Minister John Swinney. An article written by Nick Forbes. The family of Emma Caldwell is to meet Scotland's First Minister and the Justice Secretary amid concerns over who should lead a public inquiry into the police investigation of her murder. Miss Caldwell was 27 when she was murdered in 2005 by serial rapist Ian Packer. Her body was found in Limefield Woods in South Lanarkshire on May the 8th, 2005, more than a month after she went missing in Glasgow. Mr. Packer was sentenced to life with a minimum term of 36 years in February 2024, almost 2 decades later. In March last year, the Scottish Government announced a public inquiry into the police handling of the murder investigation and said that consideration would be given to it being led by a judge from outside Scotland. Miss Caldwell's family have pushed for the appointment of a judge from outside the Scottish jurisdiction, but a statement released by their lawyer, Amma Anwar, says that they have been left with no reassurance on this point. The scale of the crimes and the failures are so catastrophic that only an independent judge outside of the Scottish justice system would suffice, the family said. The police and the Crown Office cannot be trusted to investigate themselves or their former superiors. Miss Caldwell's family and Mr. Anwar are set to raise the issue in a meeting with John Swinney and Angela Constance this week. An article written by Nick Forbes. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 20th of January. Councillor questions culture funding allocated to Edinburgh and to Glasgow. An article written by Catherine Hunter. It's unfair that Edinburgh receives more funding for culture than Glasgow, a councillor has claimed. Glasgow Life, the charity responsible for running and maintaining many of the city's historic and cultural assets, is set to lobby the Scottish Government for more funding. And a Glasgow Life officer said there was a staggering difference in the level of funding for the two cities, adding that Glasgow missed out because venues such as the Kelvin Grove Museum were not seen as national assets. The issue was discussed again at Wednesday's Operations and Scrutiny Committee by Deputy Council Leader Ricky Bell, who argued that it was unfair that the capital continues to receive more funding support compared to Glasgow. It comes after Elder Park Library and Community Hub benefited from a £4 million restoration and reopened to the public last June. Glasgow Life has many programmes that promote inclusion, happiness and health, as well as supporting the city's visitor economy. But over the years, concerns have been raised that Glasgow receives no national funding for its museums, unlike Edinburgh. Councillor Bell said, "I'd like to thank Glasgow Life for the stunning Elder Park Library. I'm sure that it set the benchmark for which all libraries will now be measured. It's a beautiful asset. I wondered if you would agree with me that it is extremely unfair that a city like Glasgow, which has so many cultural assets, does not receive any additional government funding, unlike our capital city, which does." The Glasgow Life officer advised members that Glasgow's cultural assets were not seen as national assets, which is why they are not supported by the Scottish Government. They said, "I couldn't agree more. Both Bailey Christie and myself have continued and continue to make representation to the Scottish Government in relation to funding for Glasgow's outstanding cultural assets and infrastructure, but also to our outstanding festivals and events. The staggering difference of what's invested in Edinburgh and what's invested in Glasgow never ceases to amaze me. All I can say is that we continue with that pressure and lobby the Scottish Government. Glasgow's cultural assets are Scotland's cultural assets and are part of the wider ecology and should be celebrated and invested in. I've been advised that because Glasgow's assets are not seen as national assets, they don't fall into the category of being able to be supported by the Scottish Government. However, we do continue to lobby. An article written by Catherine Hunter. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 20th of January. Proposed rent increase branded unaffordable. An article written by Stuart Patterson. Tenants with Glasgow's biggest social landlord will be asked to pay rent rises of up to £8 a week. Weekly Homes Glasgow is looking to set the rent for 2025-2026 and is carrying out its statutory consultation exercise. It's asking tenants for their view on two proposals for the rise, which will take effect in April. A lower rise of 6.9% would see services remain as they are, whilst a higher rise of 7.9% would allow some investment to be made. A 6.9% rise would see average rent go up by around £7 a week, while a 7.9% rise would mean around £8 extra being paid. Tenants have been sent a document called Investing in Your Community to outline the plans. Weekly Homes Glasgow said that there are rising costs outside of its control to be considered. A spokesman added, "We're currently consulting with our tenants about rent levels for 2025-2026. The Weekly Homes Glasgow board will then carefully consider all the feedback before making a final decision on rent and service charges." Other social landlords in the city and across Scotland are also consulting with their tenants at this time, with similar or even higher rent proposals. We're doing everything we can to keep rents as low as possible. Unfortunately, there are financial pressures and challenges we can't control, such as rising repairs and maintenance costs, complying with Scottish Government energy efficiency regulations and national insurance increases. At the same time, we want to deliver the services tenants wish to see, such as carrying out repairs and investing more money into our homes and communities. Any tenant worried about their rent should get in touch with us straight away. We have a range of support services to help. The Scottish Tenants Organisation said that the rise will be unaffordable. Sean Clarkin, the campaigns coordinator for the Scottish Tenants Organisation, added, "Weekly Homes Glasgow should be ashamed of themselves for attempting to profit from vulnerable tenants who are having to choose between heating their home and paying these extortionate rents. If these rent increases go ahead, we'll see more tenants pushed into rent arrears, resulting in even more tenants presenting themselves as homeless to Glasgow City Council." An article written by Stuart Patterson. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 20th of January. An initiative to reduce antisocial behaviour is commended. An article written by Jack Thompson. A pilot initiative aimed at keeping young people safe and reducing antisocial behaviour in Renfrewshire has been commended. Good Vibes Only, a project developed following a period of summer outreach, ran for 7 weeks from early November until late December. It sought to educate those aged 12 to 15 on key issues ranging from alcohol, drugs and vaping to behaviour in the community and on public transport and gender-based violence. The interactive Renfrewshire Council programme offered a series of sessions with contributions from Police Scotland, British Transport Police and the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service. Councillor Robert Innes, an SNP representative for Houston, Crossley and Linwood, praised the work and emphasised the importance of building trust with young people at the Communities and Housing Policy Board on Tuesday. He said, "We all see these issues with alcohol, drugs, vaping, antisocial behaviour, public transport and unacceptable behaviour there, gender-based violence, knife crime, people throwing fireworks at oncoming vehicles, all this kind of stuff. The work that's being done here in this Good Vibes Only project, I think it's fantastic. It's about listening. Listening to this minority of young people is how we try to reduce this antisocial behaviour. It's about building a relationship with them. It's about gaining their trust. Respect works both ways. I always say that. So it's just to highlight some of these young people we talk to, the things they're actually saying, because that's the point. They're saying that they want places to go and things to do, somewhere to chill out and not be bothered, places to go locally and hang out, better activities for youths, particularly teenagers. I think these are the things as a council that we really need to be looking at in general if we want this antisocial behaviour from that minority of young people to reduce. Councillor Innes, who is deputy convener of the board and spearheaded the initiative, added, "It's great work that's being done and long may it continue." It was supported by £100,000 in funding allocated as part of the council's budget process last February. Feedback gathered from young people will help shape future youth work activities across the local authority. An article written by Jack Thompson. Glasgow Times on Monday the 20th of January. Lifestyle. The biggest ever Scottish National Whisky Festival coming to Glasgow. An article written by Amy Miles. The Scottish National Whisky Festival is set to host its biggest ever event in Glasgow. The festival, which is part of this year's Celtic Connections, will take place on Burns Night, January the 25th, at SWG3, which is near to the Riverside Museum. Tickets for the festival are on sale now and can be purchased at this web address: scottishnationalwhiskeyfestival.com. scottishnationalwhiskeyfestival.com. The event will span 3 spaces at SWG3, offering attendees the chance to sample hundreds of whiskies from renowned distilleries and independent bottlers. Festival goers can also explore guest spirits and experimental flavours, enjoy local food and taste creations from world-class mixologists. The festival will also feature live entertainment, including performances from celebrated Scottish artists in collaboration with Celtic Connections. An on-site whisky shop will offer a selection of bottles to take home, including exclusive festival bottlings, courtesy of Robbie's Whisky Merchants. Gareth Kroll, coordinator of the festival, said, "We're very excited to be bringing the festival back to Glasgow for our biggest ever event at SWG3. Celtic Connections is always fantastic fun, and we're thrilled to be part of the festival again this year for what's sure to be a truly memorable Burns Night. We can't wait to show you everything that we've been working on. See you on the 25th. An article written by Amy Miles. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 20th of January. New plans for a Glasgow Riverside Park to go before the public for views. An article written by Stuart Patterson. Plans for a new Riverside Park will go on display this month. The areas on either side of the River Clyde at Custom House Quay and Carlton Place are the subject of a proposal to improve an area that's been blighted by graffiti, a fire and antisocial behaviour. A master plan has been drafted for the sites around the South Portland Street Suspension Bridge. A design team led by Hawkins and Brown has been tasked with developing plans to enhance and protect the townscape, heritage and environment of the area. It involved practical work to secure the structural integrity of the quay walls. The overall aim is to deliver a new amenity space for the city in the form of a fully accessible urban park, a river park, with enhanced green space, high-quality public realm and enhanced connectivity along the river edge. A full planning application is due within months and a consultation is being held to get the views of the public. Meet Our Waterfront, which is the master plan for Custom House Quay and Carlton Place, is an important step for the ongoing regeneration of the River Clyde. Talks have been going on for years about the Riverside area. In 2021, the design team held a series of events to find out people's ideas, visions and aspirations for the area. On Thursday, January the 30th, a public event at the City Chambers will provide updates on the design plan. An online survey will also be available from the 30th of January to the 13th of February for members of the public to access a digital version of the information boards and to provide written feedback on the developed design. An article written by Stuart Patterson.
Glasgow Times News on Monday, the 20th of January. Professor reaches 1,000 miles in 5,000-mile charity trek. An article written by Amy Miles. A retired professor has reached the 1,000-mile mark in her 5,000-mile walk around the British coastline after setting off from Glasgow. Tracy Howe, who is 61, started her journey from the city on November 1st to tackle the year-long charity hike in memory of her wife, Angela White, who died of cancer. The former academic, from Bears Den, is aiming to raise £100,000 for 5 charities. Tracy, who is currently walking the coast of Wales, has already covered the coastlines of North Ayrshire, South Ayrshire, Dumfries and Galloway, and Cumbria. She said, "I am absolutely delighted to reach 1,000 miles of my 5,000-mile charity walk this week. I have been going now for 75 days and there have been many highs and some lows and the winter weather has been challenging at times. But I am now used to the routine of walking 6 days each week and it has been great to have had a lot of support from family, friends and also many strangers who I have met while walking. I hope that people will continue to follow my progress and donate to the all-important goal of raising many thousands of pounds for charity." We previously reported that Tracy chose Beatson Cancer Charity, Marie Curie, Brains Trust, Breast Cancer Now, and Copperfield to benefit from her trek. She said that the NHS, the Beatson, and Marie Curie gave their family tremendous support when Angela was diagnosed with cancer. She said, she had 2 blood cancers, myeloma and amyloidosis, which her doctors described as the most aggressive they had ever seen. "I am also supporting Brains Trust because prior to cancer, Angela had also suffered a brain tumor. It was a benign meningioma but it caused her many health difficulties. It was such a cruel blow that Angela was recovering from the brain tumor when we found out about the cancer. Tragically, she died only months later." Kate Ram, the head of events at Breast Cancer Now, said, "Our work, supporting world-class research and offering free support services, simply wouldn't be possible without incredible fundraisers like Tracy. We want to wish her all the best for the next year and thank her for choosing to support Breast Cancer Now through such an epic challenge." The Beatson Cancer Centre in Glasgow is the start and finish point of Ms. Howe's trek. Maisie McCormick, the community fundraising manager at Beatson Cancer Charity, said, "Tracy's decision to walk the coast of Britain in memory of Angela is nothing short of inspiring. With every step she takes, she carries Angela's spirit and the love they shared, reminding us of the power of love and resilience. We're proud to support Tracy on this crazy adventure and we can't wait to cheer her on every step of the way." Tracy is walking an average of 20 miles daily, 6 days each week, to complete an anti-clockwise circuit of the entire British coast's mainland. Friends, family, and her dog Poppy are accompanying her in a motorhome, and she is appealing for people along the route to offer a place to park and join her for some of the miles. She has already gained support from Asda, which has offered her meals in their supermarket cafes, and Scottish musicians The Proclaimers, who are allowing her to adapt one of their most well-known songs, "I Will Walk 500 Miles, to I Will Walk 5,000 Miles. A spokesperson at Copperfield said, "We wish Tracy and Poppy huge good luck with their incredible challenge in memory of Angela. We are so grateful for Tracy's amazing support. Tracy is helping us on our mission to get every young person checking their chests monthly because early detection can save lives." An article written by Amy Miles.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 20th of January. Homeless crisis places strain on city services. An article written by Stuart Patterson. Hundreds of homeless refugees are travelling to Glasgow after being granted leave to remain. The situation, which adds to the growing crisis in homeless services, has led officials to warn that it is unsustainable for Glasgow to continue to commit to taking the same level of asylum seekers. Glasgow takes almost all of the asylum seekers coming to Scotland, about 95%, despite a plan to have more people dispersed to other areas. The remaining 5% of asylum seekers are dispersed across 17 other local authorities, with 14 local authorities in Scotland accommodating no asylum seekers. Glasgow declared a housing emergency in 2023 and since then has spent millions of pounds trying to cope and ensure that people are accommodated. Despite the city willingly housing thousands of asylum seekers, the UK Home Office only gives £750 a year per asylum seeker, leaving the city to fund the rest. This has led to the Council and the Health Board digging into the reserves to the tune of £11 million to cover the increase in costs. In a report into homelessness, the Glasgow Integration Joint Board has said that the city cannot afford to continue to take part in the asylum seeker dispersal scheme to the extent that it has. Jim McBride, head of homelessness and complex needs, said, "Whilst Glasgow has always been and will continue to be a welcoming city for those fleeing persecution, it's evident that an increase in asylum seekers, as well as an increase in domestic demand, the crisis in the housing market and funding constraints make it challenging for Glasgow to continue to commit to the national framework in relation to asylum seekers and refugees. It's unsustainable for the City of Glasgow and is placing significant strain on the authority's homelessness service." In the space of a year, homeless applications from people who had been granted leave to remain doubled from 1,300 applications in 2022-2023 to 2,600 in 2023-2024. In the last year, as a result of Home Office decisions, the cost to services in Glasgow is estimated to be £26.5 million. It'll be funded by £11.6 million from reserves, and the Council committing to paying the remaining £14.9 million. Glasgow currently has 4,103 asylum seekers. When they get a decision from the Home Office, they are no longer entitled to accommodation through the asylum system, and many present to the Council as homeless. On top of that, there are many more who get a decision elsewhere in the UK who then travel to Glasgow seeking housing. Mr McBride added, in 2023-2024, Glasgow received 599 homelessness applications from those granted leave to remain out with the city, and in 2024-2025, up to the 17th of December, a further 527 applications have been made. An article written by Stuart Patterson.
Glasgow Times. News. On Monday, the 20th of January. Urgent HMRC self-assessment warning ahead of deadline. An article written by Sandhya Suresh. The deadline for submitting online tax returns is just over 2 weeks away. Advice Direct Scotland has reminded taxpayers that they have until midnight on January 31st to submit their online tax returns and pay any money owed. Failure to meet this deadline could result in fines. Anyone registered for self-assessment for the 2023-2024 tax year must complete their form and make any necessary payments by the end of the month. Missing the deadline will lead to an automatic £100 penalty, which increases after 3 months. Late payments can also incur fines, with the amount depending on how much tax is owed and how late the payment is. Andrew Bartlett, Chief Executive of Advice Direct Scotland, said, "Time is running out. There's not much time left to get your self-assessment return in order and pay any tax you owe to HMRC, so if you have been putting it off, you should act now. If you don't meet the deadline at the end of this month, you will start to accrue fines on top of your 2023-2024 tax bill, which will get steeper the longer you delay. If this is the first time you've gone through the process, don't worry, our taxadvice.scot service can help people in Scotland navigate the complexities of the UK tax system. There are several reasons why people might need to fill in a tax return, including if they are self-employed as a sole trader and earned more than £1,000 during the tax year. People with total taxable incomes of more than £150,000, those who had to pay capital gains tax during 2023-2024, and those who need to pay the high-income child benefit charge also need to register for self-assessment. Those who earned any untaxed income, such as money from renting out a property, tips and commissions, and income from savings, investments and dividends, may also have to declare it by filling in a tax return. An article written by Sandhya Suresh.
From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 21st of January 2025. From the news section. Contactless payments could have £100 limit removed. And this article was written by Jade right. Contactless payment rules could be shaken up as part of wider moves to boost economic growth. The contactless card payment limit has been raised several times over the years and is currently £100. Over that, cards need a PIN. The Financial Conduct Authority, FCA, sent a letter to the government on the steps it is taking and those it could take to support economic growth. In the letter, FCA Chief Executive Nikhil Rathi said that the regulator could remove the £100 contactless limit, allowing firms and customers greater flexibility, drawing on US experience and levelling the playing field with digital wallets. The FCA said another step it could take would be to set new digital service standards, for example, requiring firms to accept electronic verification of death to speed up bereavement claims in insurance. It also wants to make it easier for businesses to start up and grow. The regulator said it could indicate more frequently that we are minded to approve promising startups to help them secure funding. But our Concho, which Director of Policy and Advocacy, warned against viewing consumer protections as barriers to growth. She said, "The Financial Conduct Authority and government are right to explore ways to boost economic growth and which would never stand in the way of cutting unnecessary red tape. However, viewing customer protections as a barrier to economic growth is misguided. Well-designed regulations that empower consumers to switch from bad to good products and services which give them the confidence to try new products and services without the fear of being ripped off are essential to creating dynamic markets that reward investments and innovation." And that article was by Jade Wright. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 21st of January 2025, from the news section. More than £30,000 in cash found after properties raided. And this article was written by Ben Waddle. More than £30,000 in cash and over £1,000 in drugs have been found after police raided several properties in North Lanarkshire. On Thursday, January the 17th, community co-ops searched a number of addresses in the Kilsyth area. During the searches, officers allegedly discovered a quantity of cannabis with an estimated value of £1,300 and £30,870 in cash. Following that, a 42-year-old woman, a 37-year-old man, a 35-year-old woman, a 30-year-old man and a 24-year-old woman were charged in connection with alleged drugs offences and the Proceeds of Crime Act. Reports will be sent to the Procurator Fiscal in due course. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said, on Thursday, January the 17th, 2025, community officers in Cumbernauld executed search warrants at a number of addresses in the Kilsyth area. A 42-year-old woman, 37-year-old man, 35-year-old woman, 30-year-old man and a 24-year-old woman were charged in connection with drug offences and the Proceeds of Crime Act. A quantity of cannabis with a value of £1,300 and £30,870 cash were recovered. Reports will be submitted to the Procurator Fiscal in due course. And that article was by Ben Waddle, read by me, Caroline Smith. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 21st of January 2025, from the Lifestyle section. Greggs customers issued warning as steak bakes recalled. And this article was written by Joshua Sell. Greggs has issued a recall of some of its products which were packaged incorrectly and may pose a health risk to customers. The bakery is recalling its Greggs 2-pack steak bake because some packs contain sausage, bean and cheese melts. As a result, the product may contain sulfites which are not mentioned in the label, making the product a possible health risk for anyone with a sensitivity to sulfur dioxide and sulfites. The affected products sold at Iceland have a best before date of May the 19th. A spokesman for the Food Standards Agency, FSA, said, Greggs is recalling the above product from customers and has contacted the relevant allergy support organisations which will tell their members about the recall. The company has also issued a point of sale notice to its customers. These notices explain to customers why the product is being recalled and tell them what to do if they have bought the product. If you have bought the above product and have a sensitivity to sulfur dioxide and or sulfites, do not consume it. Instead, return it to your nearest Iceland store from where it was bought for a full refund. For further information, contact customer care on 08081 473 447 or get in touch at greggs.co.uk. The Greggs spokesman added, this 2-pack product is exclusive to Iceland and therefore the recall is only applicable to product purchased from Iceland stores. No other products, date codes or batches are affected. We are very sorry for any inconvenience caused. What is an allergy alert? Sometimes there will be a problem with a food product that means it should not be sold. Then it might be withdrawn, taken off the shelves or recalled when customers are asked to return the product. Sometimes foods have to be withdrawn or recalled if there is a risk to consumers because the allergy labelling is missing or incorrect, or if there is any other food allergy risk. When there is a food allergy risk, the FSA will issue an allergy alert. And this article was by Joshua Searle. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 21st of January 2025, from the Lifestyle section. James McAvoy to perform live in conversation event in Glasgow. And this article was written by Lucy Jackson. Glasgow Film Festival, GFF, has officially launched its programme for this year's much anticipated festival. GFF, the largest film festival in Scotland, kicks off next month at Glasgow Film Theatre between February the 26th and March the 9th. The packed programme features around 120 films, including 13 world premieres, 67 UK premieres and 12 Scottish premieres from 39 different countries. The star-studded lineup features Scottish actors James McAvoy, Jack Lowden, Tilda Swinton and Martin Compston, as well as other famous faces included Ralph Fiennes, Tim Roth and Jessica Lange. The festival's opening and closing films are both world premieres and are both made by Scottish directors. Tornado, GFF's opening film, is directed by John McClane and is a survival thriller starring Jack Lowden, Tim Roth, Takehiro Hira and Koke, shot on location in Scotland. Martin Robertson's Make It to Munich will close the festival on March the 9th. The Scottish documentary filmmaker followed teenager Ethan Walker as he defied life-threatening injuries to cycle from Glasgow's Hampden Park to Munich Football Arena for Scotland's opening match against Germany in the Euros. There will also be a world premiere screening of the first episode of the new Amazon Studios produced thriller Fear, shot in Glasgow's West End and starring Martin Compston, Solly MacLeod and James Cosmo, ahead of its UK release later this year. Meanwhile, James McAvoy will appear at a live in conversation event looking back at his career after making the switch to directing with his debut California Scheming, a film which centres around rappers Gavin Bain and Billy Boyd, who are fed up with London record producers not taking Scottish rap seriously. The festival will also see the Scottish premiere of The End, a post-apocalyptic musical satire featuring Tilda Swinton and George Mackay. Alison Gardner, CEO of Glasgow Film and director of CFF, is stepping down after more than 30 years with Glasgow Film, becoming chief executive in 2020. Speaking to The National, she encouraged people to come along to the festival, especially if they had never visited before. Reflecting on the programme, she said, "I cannot begin to say how excited I am by the brilliant programme we have curated. The breadth of films on offer genuinely has something for everyone. It's a great film festival. You'll see brilliant films, you'll meet great people, you'll hear from some terrific guests, your money is being put to good use, and you're supporting the arts. It's important for me that we create hope, fun and connection. I genuinely believe that watching films makes you a better person." Commenting on this year's programme, Isabel Davis, the Executive Director of Screen Scotland, said, "This year's GFF programme is a very clear demonstration of the festival's importance to the local industry, connecting our films and talent to the rest of the world and introducing world-class cinema to audiences in Glasgow, across Scotland and the rest of the UK." She added that Scottish talent is strongly showcased throughout the programme. Meanwhile, Rebecca Edser, Head of Events Scotland, said, "Supported through our international events programme, the Glasgow Film Festival is part of an exciting portfolio of events strengthening Scotland's reputation as the perfect stage for events. Through our commitment to screening Scottish-based films, they also help showcase to audiences, both visiting and local, what is available and beyond the screen to go and explore." And that article was by Lucy Jackson. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 21st of January 2025. From the Lifestyle section. Major retailer to close down its Glasgow city centre store. And this article was written by Ben Waddle. A major retailer is set to close down its Glasgow city centre store. Blacks, which specialises in outdoor clothing, footwear and equipment, is shutting its shop on Argyle Street. Revealing the devastating news, a sign on the store's window reads, "Closing down, all stock must go, 30% off absolutely everything." The beloved retailer, which was created in 1861 and is part of the JD Group, is known for selling popular brands like Rab, the North Face, Berghaus and Peter Storm. It is unknown when the store will close its doors for good. However, we have contacted Blacks for comment. And this article was written by Ben Waddle, read by me, Caroline Smith.
This is in the Glasgow Times on the 22nd of January 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Bus firm with Glasgow services to increase ticket prices." This article is by Ben Waddle. A bus firm with several Glasgow services is set to increase its ticket prices, has been announced. McGill's revealed that after a thorough review, they will be increasing prices for single and return fares, as well as zone weekly, monthly and bundle tickets from Monday, January 27th. Services which the travel company operate from Glasgow include its number 3 service from Neilston to Glasgow, its N3 from city centre to Pollock, its 901, 906 and 906X services from Largs to Glasgow, its 374 services from Shawlands to Silverburn, its N4 service from the city centre to Newton Mearns, its N6 service from the city centre to Clydebank, and its X21 and XP21 from Paisley to Glasgow, and many more. The travel operator said the price hike comes as the cost of running its buses continues to rise. A spokesperson said, "We've worked hard to minimise the impact on our customers. We'll continue to invest in our services, our fleet and our teams. These investments include introducing better buses and zero-emission vehicles, improving punctuality and introducing new services, and supporting fair wages for the hard-working colleagues who deliver services every day. As part of the price rises, single and return fares will increase from as little as 10 pence, McGill's have said." A McGill spokesperson said, "Our tickets can be bought on bus using cash or contactless, or download the McGill's app from the App Store or Google Pay. We're phasing out our Go Smart cards. To explore the best ticket options for your future journeys, please visit our fares and tickets." Finally, don't forget that young people aged 5 to 21 living in Scotland are eligible for free bus travel with a valid Young Scot card. If you haven't already, make sure to apply, either for yourself or on behalf of your child through your local council. This article was by Ben Waddle. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 22nd of January 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Clydebank Road waiting on a fatality as concerns raised." This article was by Emily Moore. A concerned resident who has been campaigning for a change on a dangerous road for 2 years says he is beyond disappointed it has taken so long for any action. Greg Little, 51, says the unlit lampposts and hazardous conditions on Coldstream Road by the Clyde Shopping Centre are an accident waiting to happen. He said, "It was over a year ago that I really noticed the road because a woman with a pram walked right in front of the crossing and almost got hit. Then there was some guy with a toddler and the same thing happened. They were wearing jet black and you couldn't see them. The lighting is not good on foot, and as a driver coming in off the roundabout, it's just not well lit and there are pedestrians stepping out all the time. You have to really watch what you're doing there, especially if it's pouring it down." After raising the issue in March 2023, Greg has witnessed multiple near misses at the pedestrian crossings on the road, as well as people crossing out with the designated area. He says he now drives down the road slowly and puts his hazard lights on to help him see ahead. Photos taken by the Glasgow Times photographer capture several lights out on the street, as well as cars stopping on the road to use the post box, which Greg says are few of the many hazards on the road. Greg added, "My biggest fear is fatalities, especially children. There are a lot of kids walking around there, going to the cinema or to McDonald's. In the worst case, a toddler could run out. It's multiple hazards when you sit back and look at all the hazards, and there's a lot of them, all leading to one horrible outcome. It's not just the lighting, there are no speed bumps in place, and there's no signage for the speed limit until after the post office, and even then it's in disrepair and it says 5 miles an hour. But really, it is an accumulation of hazards that will kill someone, probably a kid, someone just starting their life, or an old person having done good work. It is beyond disappointing that centre management hasn't done anything. It's like they're fobbing it off. Are they waiting for a fatality? It is understood that some of the lamps on the street have blown and that an electrician is due to inspect the road this week. Western Berkshire Council have confirmed that the road is under the responsibility of the Clyde Shopping Centre. The Clydebank Post has made several attempts to contact the centre for comment. This article was by Emily Moore. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 22nd of January 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Man tragically dies after incident in East Renfrewshire." This article is by Ben Waddle. A man has tragically died after a serious crash involving a car and a cyclist on a busy road in East Renfrewshire. The incident happened on Polnoon Street in Eaglesham on Thursday, January 16th, 2025. Police were alerted to the collision at around 10 a.m. Emergency crews raced to the scene. Following that, a 74-year-old cyclist, a man, was taken to the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital for treatment. Sadly, he passed away on Tuesday, January 21st. Sergeant Jack Spindles said, Our thoughts are with the family and friends of the man who died. Inquiries remain ongoing to establish the full circumstances, and we continue to appeal to anyone who has yet to speak to us to get in touch. I am also asking for anyone with dashcam to review the footage and pass on any relevant images which could assist our investigation. A spokesperson for Police Scotland added, anyone with information is asked to call Police Scotland via 101, quoting incident number 0830 of Thursday, January 16th, 2025. This article was by Ben Waddle. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 22nd of January 2025, from the news section, and the headline reads, Glasgow weather, Met Office issues amber warning for Storm Owen. This article is by Adam Robertson. The Met Office has issued an amber warning for wind for Glasgow as Storm Owen heads back to the UK. The forecaster has also issued a yellow warning for snow covering most of the country, including parts of the south of Scotland, Glasgow, most of the Highlands and the Western Isles. The amber warning, in place from 6 AM on Friday, January 24th, until 9 PM the same day, covers the south of Scotland and stretches up towards Glasgow and Edinburgh, as well as Dundee. Very strong winds and widespread disruption is expected on Friday as a result of Storm Owen, the Met Office said. It said to expect the following. Power cuts are likely to occur, with the potential to affect other services, such as mobile phone coverage. Road, rail, air and ferry services are likely to be affected, with longer journey times and cancellations possible. Some roads and bridges will close. There's a chance that damage to buildings and homes could occur, with roofs blown off and power lines brought down. Injuries and danger to life could occur from flying debris, as well as large waves and beach material being thrown onto seafronts, coastal roads and properties. The alert for snow, meanwhile, will be in place from 3 AM on Friday morning until midday on the same day. Snow for a time on Friday morning may cause some disruption before easing and or turning to rain, the forecaster said. It said that some roads and railways would likely be affected and that people should expect longer journey times by road, bus and train. This article was by Adam Robertson.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Tune Review and to tell your friends about our service.